Grief is a very emotionally intense process, and it's important to make decisions before, when you're in a less emotional state. Really what we should be doing is talking about plans and opinions and decisions way before, so when we see our dogs getting older or iller, to be brave and approach the subject and work out what it is that we want. There are lots of different decisions to be made, because for a start, when do we know that it's time to make the difficult decision of, say, euthanasia? That can be discussed with the veterinary surgeons, going through the different quality of life indicators, because it's important to be able to discuss with vets what it is you're meant to be looking for. You will know when the decision is right. Very few pets die in their sleep. We end up making the decision beforehand, and what it's based on is quality of life, mobility, ability to eat, drink, move around freely, get up and down easily, often whether they're incontinent or not, because if there are young children around and you've got fecal and urinary incontinence, that's challenging. Lots of different reasons why you need to come to that difficult decision. And you need help and support from family, friends and your veterinary practice to know when the timing is right. What you've also got to decide is several things, like if you're talking about euthanasia, where are you going to have your animal euthanized? In the surgery or at home? A lot of practices do give that option. Also, whether you want to be present. No one has to be present at the point of euthanasia. That is a personal choice, but that is something that you can decide and discuss beforehand. Veterinary staff have your animal's interests at heart. They are caring and compassionate, and they will want to do their best for your pet. So if you are wanting to stay, that's absolutely what they would like you to do. If you don't want to stay, then they will treat your animal and care and give utmost respect. Decisions of which particular vet, if that's a choice, it may not be for your practice. Timing, you can choose the timing in advance if you're able to. Sadly, in some situations, as we've discussed, that may not be possible. And there are two main sort of options afterwards to consider: whether you have your animal buried or cremated. It's not an easy subject, but it's something that if you do have a chance to think about in advance, you can make personal informed choices. If you want to have your animal buried, then it's a question of where. And if you're going to be moving house at any stage, is it practical or possible? If you can't bury your animal at home, then you can bury your animal in a pet cemetery. There are obviously cost implications with all of these choices. With cremation, this is a huge topic to discuss, and I'll only touch on it here. But basically, you can have individual or communal cremation. You can ask your veterinary surgeons which one they use, but you're able to use any pet crematoriums that you would wish to. If you would prefer to have your pet's ashes back, then you need to choose an individual cremation. This is an example of a wooden casket that your ashes can be returned in. This is called a scatter tube. There is a hole at the end, and you're able to scatter the ashes maybe on a familiar walk, or just keep the ashes. And we have here just some examples of urns that people can have, which can be ornaments on the mantelpiece. This is not for everybody. Some people look at this and go, this is really not what I want. But for some people, this is a source of great comfort. And the ashes are in the casket and they're returned, and then they can sit quietly on the side, or indeed they can be buried in this. When people want to find another companion animal, it is personal on the timing. It may be that they get another dog before your elderly dog has died, and that can be something that makes it easier for everybody. It may be something that someone definitely doesn't want to do, but often people do get a younger dog before the animal has died, and it helps tide over and helps through the moments of grief. When you are getting another companion, it is absolutely vital to not replace the dog that you have lost. We often find that when people try to get the exact breed, the exact colouring, and maybe even name the dog the same, it turns out to be a disaster because they are different. And it is something to avoid. You will never be able to replace the dog that you have lost, but what you can do is that you can fill the void with a new loving companion.